Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Sleepless Cinematic Podcast, where we explore our shared love for watching and discussing movies, recorded in the late after-work hours, often in lieu of a good night's rest. I'm Madeline.
I'm Emilio.
And I'm Julian. The three of us are colleagues at a Midtown Manhattan music school. Yes, music is what brings us together, but movies are, and perhaps the moon, are what keep us together, talking at the end of the night.
Moonvies.
So we've created some order to this ongoing trend by recording these conversations, considering an overarching theme while we cycle through 5 unique guidelines for engagement.
You can email us at sleeplesscinematicpod@gmail.com. Seriously, we would love to hear from you. You can also follow us on Instagram and TikTok for updates, highlights, clips, and other visual supplements to the audio that we record at Sleepless Cinematic Pod, all one word.
And in addition to these main episodes, we record and release bonus one-off episodes as we see fit. While we do this, you, the listener, can count on the three of us doing what we've grown to love, foregoing sleep for a discussion about movies every other week.
And this week, we continue our current cycle of musicians turned actors with an episode category we call Suggestion Box, where one of us selects a film for the group to discuss. At least one of us will be seeing this movie for the first time, and differing opinions may or may not be held among us.
And today, we're talking Moonstruck, the 1987 romantic comedy directed by Norman Jewison, starring Nicolas Cage, Olympia Dukakis, Vincent Gardenia, and in her Oscar-winning role, Cher as Loretta Castorini. Very excited to talk about this.
Absolutely.
Yes, and our guest today holds the distinction of being our podcast's first 3-time guest.
She was also our first 2-time guest.
That's true. You can find her on the socials, sharing unique observations about history, delivering quick-fire trivia about your favorite movies, and roasting classics like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Great work on that one, by the way. You might also catch her at a wedding or corporate event, putting her powerful and irrepressible pipes to work. She's flying around the U.S. doing her thing, so we're grateful that she's made a bit of time to come and talk movies with us. Together, we've covered adults playing high schoolers in Grease, an elementary schooler besting adults in Home Alone, and today it'll be Italians of all ages grappling with matters of the heart. Jamie Holmes, welcome back to the Sleepless Cinematic Podcast.
Welcome.
Once again, my goodness, what an intro. Thank you very much.
That's what we try to do here.
Yeah.
No, it's wonderful to have you. Thank you so much. This is so fun.
This is a blast. Anytime you guys want me on, I'm here, man. This podcast is one of my favorite things. I love it.
Oh,
sweet.
we love having you.
Absolutely. And I know that this movie has some personal significance for you, which I think is going to make this especially fun. And for you too, Madeline.
Yes, for me. I'm the one suggesting this movie.
That's
I'm
true.
very excited about that, and I'm glad to have Jamie here as well. I think we mentioned this either on or off mic the last time you were here, that we were considering doing this, and you were like, put me down for that. So
Absolutely.
the time has finally come.
Absolutely. As an Italian American, I'm a mutt, but I'm like 57% Italian.
That's majority.
That is.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And
23andMe is on your side.
Absolutely. This movie holds such a close place in my heart. I have seen it a lot, like maybe 60, 70 times.
Amazing.
I'm not
Wow.
even kidding.
Wow.
So.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm much newer to the movie, but now I've seen it a few times, both in prep for this episode and also just of my own accord last summer. That was the first time that I saw it. And I think we'll get a little deeper into personal histories as we go along. But Emilio, you are the one that this is being suggested to.
This is correct. This is my first go around with Moonstruck. We're going to get into this a little bit more, but I had a blast with it. This
Yay.
movie was really, really fun.
I'm very
and
glad.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun to talk about. And while both films reference a popular song from yesteryear, Moonstruck is not to be confused with Fly Me to the Moon,
Yeah.
which is the film that came out last year, 2024, starring Channing Tatum and Scarlett Johansson. Also kind of a light romantic comedy. This one about an alternative look at what might have happened behind the scenes of Apollo 11. Sort of like if Mad Men and The Right Stuff had a romantic comedy baby. I've heard this one's actually kind of good. Have not seen it. Don't confuse it with Moonstruck.
Yes, definitely don't confuse that with Moonstruck. And also, don't confuse Moonstruck with a different film that also, like Moonstruck, did pretty well at the Academy Awards, but maybe was robbed of some things that it should have gotten, which is Moonlight,
Uh-huh.
Oh, good
which
point.
came out almost 30 years later. That's the drama directed by Barry Jenkins, co-written by him and Terrell Alvin McCraney, depicting 3 phases in the life of a young man named Chiron. I think very deserving Best Picture winner, but of course, its legacy is always going to be qualified a little bit by what happened that night on the Oscar stage.
Exactly.
This is true.
Yes.
And Moonstruck also should not be confused with Moonrise Kingdom, obviously the 2012 film by Wes Anderson, which I actually checked out from the library last week and plan to watch on Saturday, only to realize the library did not unlock the DVD box.
Oh.
So I tried to Google how you do this, and apparently you need pretty strong magnets to jimmy this open, which my fridge magnets were not strong enough, so I'm going to have to go back to the library.
Make sure you don't consult Insane Clown Posse about that, because they don't know how magnets work either.
I really have no idea.
I had that happen to me once before. It's very annoying to have that.
I watched Life Aquatic instead because that one's on Hulu.
There we go.
Well, yeah.
That is a very good movie also.
Yes.
Totally. And Moonstruck is also not to be confused with the film Moon. From 2009, It's directed by Duncan Jones, starring Sam Rockwell as the lone astronaut who's overseeing a resource extraction project on the moon and the discovery that he makes towards the end of his 3-year stint. Do you guys know who Duncan Jones is the son of?
David Bowie.
Yes.
Yeah.
What?
That's,
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And we just covered him in our previous episode
Exactly.
too. So
We just talked about
I think
it.
that's why that's fresh in my mind because it's on the Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
There it is.
I've been there very
Totally.
recently.
This is audio, but you can't see my mouth is agape.
talk about a space oddity.
There we go. Good. Yes. Do not confuse Moon with Moonstruck.
And we've talked about a bunch of films already that have moon in the name. Moonstruck is not to be confused with Wonderstruck, which is the
good point.
2007 which is the 2017 adaptation of a book by Brian Selznick, directed by one of our favorites, Todd Haynes.
Todd Haynes.
Our favorite.
I've seen this movie a few years ago. I think it was wouldn't call it top tier Todd Haynes, but it was an enjoyable time.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I will also say Moonstruck, not to be confused with Starstruck, which is a Disney Channel original movie, or DCOM, from 2010, about a pop star who has a chance encounter with a Midwestern girl next door who helps him reconsider his celebrity status. I'm fairly sure I watched this movie at the time, and it has nobody you've ever heard of unless you watched a lot of Disney Channel.
I love that got a shout out.
Yeah.
And to make maybe a bigger or maybe not so big stretch, since we are about to discuss a movie in which a woman named Cher, at least as she's known in real life, not in the movie, undergoes some self-discovery relating to her love life, this film is not to be confused with Clueless.
Oh, good point.
Yeah.
Very good.
That's true.
Absolutely.
Which came afterward, but I'm sure that Moonstruck was on the mind of Amy Heckerling.
In fact, I just watched Look Who's Talking because Blank Check, which is another movie podcast that many of us like, is covering Amy Heckerling's films right now. And we did not watch Look Who's Talking when we covered Amy Heckerling. And Olympia Dukakis is in Look Who's Talking.
That's right.
She is the mother.
mom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's Kirstie Alley's mother in that.
That's correct. I had seen that one before we
You
talked
had.
the
Yeah,
Amy
I had
Heckerling
not.
films. Yeah.
It's
It's
not
fine.
bad.
No, it's fine.
I didn't watch the sequel.
There is something
Sequels.
charming about
Sequels,
a
yeah.
baby that sounds like Bruce Willis
Yeah.
cracking wise.
I had a fun time,
Oh yeah,
I think.
yeah, totally. It's funny to listen to Amy Heckerling talk about that because
It's very much based on
oh
her life.
yeah,
In like a crazy way.
I didn't bring up any of those details on our
I'm
Amy
glad
Heckerling,
you didn't.
but I had a whole thing ready to go if we wanted to go there.
Yeah, Google that. It's fascinating.
Yeah, it's very fascinating. No, Moonstruck. We know that this is a meaningful film for you, Jamie, also for you,
Yes.
for having suggested it. Why is this movie special?
Yeah, I'll just say that this is a film that when we first started our podcast, we had this huge spreadsheet of many different movies, like 1,000+ movies, where I think we've talked about this a little bit, where we marked down the ones we had seen and did just a quick rating. And this was one of the few, as I said at the end of our last episode, that I had seen that at the time neither of you had seen.
Correct.
And I was like, I love this movie and you guys haven't seen it. We should talk about it at some point. And Julian, you have since watched it. You've seen it a couple of times. times. Your Letterboxd review said you first watched it on a plane. Is that right?
I did, yeah.
Okay. And you've watched it a few times since, partially in prep for this episode. And so I actually kind of designed this cycle around wanting to talk about this movie specifically.
It was the plan all along was to get
in
this
the
one
way
on
that
there.
we kind of talked high school movies so we could talk Heathers.
That's true.
Yeah.
Good point. I was
Yeah.
angling any way that I could in order to put Heathers on the docket. Awesome. I love that. That's great. Jamie, what about you?
I think that this is one of the most rewatchable movies.
Very rewatchable.
It's so entertaining. It makes you feel like you're part of a family.
Yeah.
Totally.
And while it is stylized, it's very raw and real in so many parts. I mean, Olivia Dukakis, I think, is one of the reasons for that. Her character is devastating, but also hilarious at the same time.
She's amazing in this.
And like, I feel like we all know an Italian like that. You know,
Yeah.
you know, like when she's making the little eggies and toast.
Oh, yeah, the
like,
one-eyed Jacks.
I was like, I got to do it that way.
Oh, that's, my grandmother used to do that every single time the grandkids stayed over.
We do that for our son. He loves one-eyed Jacks. It's the egg delivery system.
Yeah.
It's a
of
perfect
preference.
egg delivery system. And then
Yeah.
you have the little circle that's in the middle, and then you can dip that into the egg. And it's just,
Yeah.
I'm
See.
making the Italian hand sign right now. You
You
can't
go.
see me. And I love that this movie, the music drives it so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it makes sense because Norman Jewison obviously has directed multiple musicals. He
Yeah.
did JC Superstar, he did Fiddler on the Roof. So it makes sense that that would be part of the vein through line of
Totally.
this. And I love everything about it. I love everything about it. I can quote the entire film.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that I had really connected like who directed this movie, and I feel like he's a director that's really been a through line through a lot of my life. Like I grew up in like a musical household. We watched musicals. I talked about this on the Grease episode, and we watched Fiddler a lot,
I
and we
love
watched
Fiddler.
Jesus Christ Superstar, and we watched this movie, and I'm like, wow, he is not a director I would have been able to name as a kid, but I feel like he is one of those directors that I was like constantly watching his movies.
Nice.
Yeah. Maybe I'm doing a disservice to my heritage with this fact, but I've never seen Fiddler on the Roof.
We gotta watch
Oh,
that.
we got to do.
You got to watch Fiddler on the
Dude,
Roof.
I
Fiddler,
know, but, like-
Fiddler is like one of the core musicals in my
Yeah.
life. Like every song, like
But it's not just from a perspective of fellow movie watchers, but I mean, my Jewish relatives have had that reaction when I've said I haven't seen the movie.
They're like, we're putting it on right now.
but
They didn't
Cancel
do it yet,
your
though.
plan.
They didn't
Okay.
do it, though. Maybe after hearing this, that'll happen. Maybe.
okay.
Yeah, similarly, like Norman Jewison is one of those directors where like you don't know how many movies of his you've seen until you look up his filmography.
Yeah.
That like I've seen, this is only the third film of his that I've seen, but the other two that I have seen are Jesus Christ Superstar and In the Heat of the Night.
That's another one too.
Yeah,
Great,
which-
great film.
Not a musical, but a very notable film, not just for its content, but its place in film history too.
Totally.
Yeah.
And an Oscar winner too. Won Best Picture that year.
I love how this movie also, like, you know, there's Italian stereotypes. There's stereotypes in all different cultures. This rides that line in such a respectful way, but
Totally.
it is like almost there to tip over, and I live for every single moment of it.
Yeah.
Nice.
But it's
Yeah.
so respectful about it, and it's real. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing that you always come up against when you talk about stereotypes is you're like, well, maybe it's funny because it's real or, you know, but this movie does feel very rooted in things that everybody deals with.
Yeah. And I think it's also John Patrick Shanley, who's the screenwriter. He spoke a lot about like growing up in the Bronx and having these friends with these big, loud Italian families and going over to their houses and being like, I want to be in a community like this. I really
Interesting.
I really respect like this kind of family dynamic. And he took a lot of inspiration from that. Not in that his own family was like that. He's not Italian. He's like Irish.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
he's, you know, growing up around all these different cultures up in the Bronx, and he knew people like this and he was inspired by them, and I think that's cool. So it's like, as you said, because he himself is not Italian, I feel like that's where he has to bring in some of the stereotypes, but it feels like in a loving way.
yes,
Mhm.
it's super
Yeah.
respectful. It's super loving.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's not a mean bone in this movie's body.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, and that like even as early as the first viewing, I could tell that.
Definitely.
Great way to put it.
Totally. So Julian, what's this movie about?
So it's the late 1980s. And Loretta Castorini is a 37-year-old bookkeeper living in Brooklyn Heights with her parents and grandfather. Having lost her previous husband in a freak accident, Loretta has lowered her expectations about love. So when her partner, Johnny Camerari, proposes to her on a dinner date, she says yes, even though it's clear she does not love him as much as he does her. Right after that, Johnny gets on an airplane to Sicily to visit his ailing mother on what he believes to be her deathbed, and requests that Loretta call up his estranged brother Ronnie to bring him back into his newly engaged life. Loretta breaks the news of her engagement to her family, but between their lukewarm reactions and her father Cosmo's affair, things still seem to be amiss in spite of what should be a glorious occasion. Things only get more complicated, but in an intriguing way, when Loretta meets Ronnie Camerari at the bakery where he works, and is quickly struck by his passionate demeanor, conditioned by the loss of his left hand in an accident that he attributes to his brother Johnny, and which also cost him a prior romantic relationship. As Loretta and Ronnie discuss matters further, it becomes clear almost immediately that love is in the air between them. And though their affair complicates an already fraught situation, perhaps their relationship is meant to be, and their fates get close to becoming clearer beneath the light of the full moon.
Yeah.
Very nice.
The night after night full moon that just
Yeah,
seems to be
yeah.
Seems to be
staying.
happening there.
This is the only situation where you get a full moon on 2 back-to-back nights.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like Cosmo's father, so like the
Cosmo, I just put that together.
There we
Cosmo.
go.
Exactly.
Cosmo's moon.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go. He seems to be kind of in the know about it, doesn't he? When he's talking to the guys, he's like, "Oh yeah, there's something special going on."
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he's
Yeah.
out walking his 5 dogs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Apparently, they put liver, like small pieces of liver, in that actor's pockets
Oh,
so
good.
that the dogs would follow him around.
Oh yeah,
Hilarious.
yeah. They're very well behaved.
One of my favorite parts, though, is when the dogs are going up the stairs and one of them totally eats it. I mean, it's not nice of me to say, I guess, but
No, it's
I'm
fine.
sure the dog was fine.
yeah.
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 Do you guys have any memory of the first time you saw this movie?
No.
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 Jamie's
No, I was
shaking
that
her
kinda-
far
head.
back.
I was trying to reflect on this. I feel like I was maybe 10. I definitely like watched this movie before I think I was young enough to fully appreciate it.
Same.
And so I've grown with it over time.
Yeah,
Nice.
definitely. I have no idea the first time I ever watched this. I
Yeah.
just know that it's been watched, you know? Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah, my parents listen to this podcast. Maybe they remember
Yeah,
when
right.
they first showed this to me. Probably not.
It's well, I mean, to the point of you both having seen it very young. It strikes me that this is a PG movie
Yeah.
because I mean, there's some content in it. Honestly, like I wasn't tracking, how foul the language was or anything like that when I first saw it, but I expected it to be an R, just based on a lot of its content.
Well, it's like a 1987 PG,
Yeah.
though. And I also think that with like the sex stuff, you really don't see anything. It's
true.
Yeah, you really
a
don't.
very chaste sex scene.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Wait, and you recently saw it in the last 2 years or so, at the very
since
least, right?
since we've been doing the podcast, and so the exact situation was that last summer, my parents and we took a trip to Scandinavia, and the return was from Copenhagen. It was like an 8-hour long flight. And well, what am I going to do on an 8-hour long flight but cram it with movies?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Good
as
work.
I assume all of us would do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so the first 2 that I watched, this was an interesting in-flight experience because I did 2 Spielberg movies in a row. Before that, it was Catch Me If You Can, which for the record,
Yeah, good
maybe the
plane
most
movie.
fitting movie to watch on a plane.
Yeah,
Good one.
definitely
Yeah.
a good plane
Definitely.
movie.
Very
Yeah.
good plane movie. And the one that followed that, which is, a okay plane movie, is Bridge of Spies. And then when that was all done, there were about 2 hours left until landing. I looked through the selections to see something I could watch in that time. Moonstruck, clocking in at about an hour and 40 minutes, fit perfectly.
Excellent time.
Yeah.
I really like how compact this movie feels, yet
Totally.
it still
Yeah.
feels very full.
So
Absolutely.
full.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, and that was, this was the 3rd movie on an 8-hour flight. So as you can imagine, my faculties were not at their best when I first saw this movie. So I think that I left watching it appreciative, but not fully bought into the film's legacy. That's since changed, prepping for this episode. I get the hype.
Yeah, I don't think there's any movie I would watch 6 hours into an 8-hour flight and really come out being like, this is such a great movie.
I saw this in the perfect conditions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually think that when you get to the third movie on an 8-hour flight, that's a good spot for something you've seen already.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Good.
I
Yeah.
would say so.
I love that you said it left you feeling full.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's exactly what an Italian would want. And I love how food drives this movie.
Yeah.
Even when she's with Ronnie and
Oh,
she
yeah.
feeds him,
Cooks him a
he
steak or
has no
something.
choice.
Yeah.
Don't cook for me. No, I'm cooking you a bloody steak. You're eating it. I love that. And it is compact, but it is filling.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I am the new person to this film. I had not seen it, definitely had heard a lot about it. This is a consequential VHS cover at the video
Yeah.
store for me.
Mhm.
I remember going to the mom and pop video store I eventually ended up working at as a kid. And there's something about Cher's arms out with her head back. There's just something
Yeah.
very iconic about it.
Totally.
Has always lived in my mind. I just have never gotten around to seeing it until now. I said it already, but I really enjoyed this movie. I got around to seeing it twice. I liked it even more the second time. The script, which did win an Oscar, super funny, jam-packed with hilarious little observations, tiny character
Definitely.
moments. This might be a little bit of an inside reference, but those who follow our podcast will definitely pick up on this. This movie is for the Italian-American family what The Taking of Pelham 123 is for New Yorkers, which is that it's a love letter to their quirky, messy resilience. I also thought it was like really deep. I thought this movie was
Yeah,
like
very
way
much so.
deeper.
Very much is.
Yeah.
Way deeper than I was ready for it to be.
Mhm.
I did not think it was going to be such a meditation on like personal insecurities and relationships
Mhm.
and infidelity. I also totally see why this movie is loved by older generations.
Yeah, and this is I think it's worth saying as we're still pretty early in this conversation too that this is written by a famous playwright, John Patrick Shanley, and it really does feel theatrical.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like both in the operatic sense, which was very intentional in the making of this movie. How much content is packed into it, balanced with how concise the story is, and particularly with that final sequence. Norman Jewison said on the commentary himself, it's a stage play at that point.
Yeah,
onward.
Definitely.
totally.
You really
Yeah.
feel it.
Oh,
And also, since you mentioned Pelham 123, it's worth noting that that movie and this one do share one actor in a small part, which is the waiter, Bobo.
really?
Yeah, that actor, Robert Weil, he played one of the workers at the Grand Central Tower in Pelham 123, the guy who keeps going, what the hell's going on there?
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, also seen in The French Connection as the car auctioneer.
Oh my goodness.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah.
That's right.
He's just
Yeah,
popping up
He's everywhere.
all over the place.
Yes.
Bobo's everywhere. No.
Yeah, and when you look him up, like I was hoping there'd be a Wikipedia entry on him. There isn't.
Really?
Hmm,
Yeah.
you should
The
write
powers
one.
to be at Wikipedia need to work on this. I know that no one's getting paid there, but
That's because none of us are donating.
Well, but in any case, shout out to Robert Weil.
Yes.
thank you.
So we've said a lot about this film and its legacy and why it's so special to us so far. But in the film zeitgeist, a big reason why this is why this continues to be such a celebrated film is that it was enshrined with Academy Awards, two specifically in the acting category for Cher, in the Best Actress category, and Olympia Dukakis for her supporting role, as well as Best Original Screenplay for John Patrick Shanley. Jamie, you were talking about how this film is so delicate with like characteristics of Italian American experience. Historically in film, a lot of Italian American characters are portrayed as being very bombastic. So I think that anyone watching this movie would be struck, pun intended, by the subtlety of both Cher and Olympia Dukakis. But of course, they're playing opposite the bombast of Nicolas Cage. And so, like, what do we think about the confluence of acting styles in Moonstruck? And, like, how do all of these roles contribute to the film's singular status?
Norman Jewison spoke about having to pull Cher up and pull Nicolas Cage down.
Yeah.
So
Not surprised.
So even what you see in the film, which I think you're right, there is this like contrast of energy in a lot of ways, but even that is like kind of compressed from what it could have been. And I think kind of naturally what they gravitate towards. I think that Cher is a big personality, but I think that when she enters acting, a lot of times she's trying to play kind of more muted characters as opposed to her celebrity persona,
Yeah.
which is, so out there. Whereas Nicolas Cage, this is very early on in his career, but this is just how he is.
Totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, to this day.
Yeah.
It plays upon the subtlety that is real life.
Yeah.
Italians aren't always, but they can be and are oftentimes when they're in large groups together. And I think that this movie and specifically the acting performances of the two leading ladies that won the Academy Awards, they're so expertly playing upon the subtlety of what it is to be an Italian American and to be in love and to be devastated by, infidelity and to be a mom and to be a widower and, while also still being the Italians that we all know. And,
They're still lovable.
clearly they're Italian. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, in spite of the fact, and sooner or later this would have had to come up that both Cher and Olympia Dukakis are not Italian.
It's
They're
amazing,
Italian.
right?
Yeah.
Cher is Armenian and Olympia Dukakis is Greek.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah.
Dialed in, though. Good work by both of them.
Definitely. And Norman Jewison also apparently really had to tell Olympia Dukakis to not tone it down, but really to caution against playing Rose as a really teary, tortured wife who's being cheated on, and to play her in a more measured way.
Yeah.
And it just feels like it gives her so much control.
And some strength,
Yeah.
I think, throughout the movie.
I was going to say, and I'm
Yeah.
not just saying this because I'm an Italian woman, but Italian women, there is a groundedness and a strength there too. And I don't know if it comes from Catholicism or what, but there is that. And she is obviously hurt because she unfortunately is in love with Cosmo still, Do you love him, Loretta? I love him awful, Ma. Well, that's too bad. And that's so funny because she really does love him and she's sad by that. But there's a groundedness and a strength to it that when she says, at the end, you will not see her again,
Right.
and he goes, oh, okay.
Yeah, it kind of slams the table. Yeah.
It's so good. And she plays upon that Italian woman so well.
Yeah, no, she does. While I do think that she has a very energetic stage presence, not counting plastic surgery here, there is a stillness in Cher's face. Also, there's, I think, something in her eyes. I think she has very inviting eyes that I think work well to what you're describing, Jamie. This quiet strength, somebody who's gone through something but is sympathetic, that you feel a lot of empathy for. And her face is able to capture that quality that I think works really well for Loretta, because her character talks about how she feels like she's just been born under a bad sign and just has all this bad luck. And so she's somebody who feels kind of like the world has beat her down.
Yeah.
But is still getting up, doing her thing, and is
Yeah,
still
she can handle herself still.
Right, and is
you
still
believe that she can.
Totally, and is still entertaining the idea that maybe there is something out there for her.
Yeah.
So I think there's something about Cher's face.
Yeah.
She's just a great choice, I think, for this role, for that quality that she brings. It's
Definitely.
kind of cool.
Well, it makes me think immediately of the previous movie that we discussed, The Man Who Fell to Earth, and that David Bowie, you could describe his role in that movie in a very similar way, that in spite of the bombast of his career, that there is this kind of quiet confidence to him that I think really made him perfect for that role. And even if it wasn't initially written for him, that he just, once he was in those shoes, there just was no one else who could do it. I think that you could describe Cher in this movie very similarly. And I think that kind of solemnity is something that's really shared between her and Olympia Dukakis.
Yeah, true.
And then when you think about other performances in the film, there was also another Oscar nomination, not a win, but for Vincent Gardenia in the supporting actor category for playing Cher's father and Rose, her mother's husband, Cosmo. Even when you just kind of glimpse him at moments where he's not really doing much of anything, you could just see there's something about his face, all the emotions are right there.
Well, it's
absolutely.
It's funny though. I don't think this is a bug. This is a feature of his performance. He kind of is making the same face the whole movie.
Yeah.
Because
I see what
he's
you mean.
constantly being shady.
Yes, exactly.
You know?
Right.
He's hiding something.
He's hiding something constantly.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
cheating on his wife.
I mean, I would have said something similar even about Olympia Dukakis's role, that like her face is very consistent throughout the movie, but it's a feature, not a bug. It's not a rigid thing. I think that what's really genius about her performance is that the consistency of it. She captures like what it is like to be going about your life, doing all the different things you can do, and have this mood hang over you.
Yeah. And then you can contrast all of this with Nicolas Cage, who's playing very big and he's having these wild expressions and he's just able to go really far beyond the more measured performances that we see from so much of the rest of the cast. And I think that's what makes his role like kind of a standout and so interesting, because he almost feels like he's in a different movie.
Definitely.
No, but he has to be to break her out of her mundanity.
Exactly.
Right. And it's the opposites attract thing. I think that definitely happens.
Because he has passion, and that's part of what she's lacking, is any kind of like passion in her life, which is clearly like in her and in her family and in her blood, but she's become complacent and she's settled in her life. And so then you need this
wolf.
Yeah, you need
There
the
you
wolf.
go. The wolf.
Yeah, her passion was hit by a bus.
Exactly.
You know, and the wolf needed to get it out of her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point.
When you compare ages of the actors, Cher was around 40 when she filmed this part, and Nicolas Cage was in his mid-20s.
Yeah, I mean, maybe because I saw this so young, I never clocked their age difference.
Me either.
As a kid, I assumed they were the same age, because when you're 10 and you look at a 23-year-old and a 40-year-old, even by the time I got a little older and maybe didn't bother Googling, I'm like, Cher could easily pass for 30. He could pass for late 20s. They're basically the same
Yeah, they're
age.
close in age for sure.
So
Yeah.
the other one for me with that was Danny Aiello
Yeah.
and Nicolas Cage, supposed to be brothers.
And
like,
Yeah.
It's
And-
like 20-plus year age gap.
exactly.
He's like 45 or something.
Yeah, exactly. That was one where coming into this movie, I was like, how are they going to do this?
They're just not going to reference
They're not really going to
gonna
reference
address it.
And maybe this is the power of the movie, but I was not asking that question.
Yeah.
Really.
That's what's so great about this, is
Yeah.
that I don't think any of this occurs to you when watching, and
Yeah.
it occurs to you when you're like Googling or thinking about
yeah.
it later. You're like, oh wow, Cher's like 17 years older than Nick Cage, and it's not important
No.
for Loretta and Ronnie.
And
Well,
she goes,
yeah.
she dyes her hair, and you know she gets. I do have to say though, that is my only negative about this movie. That's my only part about this film that I do not like, is that weird sequence where she's by the fire and she's like holding the dress up and
Oh,
she's
yeah, I
putting
know what you
lipstick on one part of her lip. You're like, oh, 80s.
She's got the wine.
Oh, 80s. Go
Why'd
home.
you light a fire for this?
I know, good
Like,
point.
we're
What are you
about to
doing?
leave. You have plans.
Yeah, like you're going somewhere. Like, get ready.
Yeah, no, that's true. I felt like that was subtly a way for the movie to drop how nice of a house they have.
So that when Frasier's dead later, it's like, you live in a mansion.
Thank you. Yep.
Yeah.
Frasier's dead.
But then, like, I feel like, you know, Nicolas Cage being as young as he was in this movie, it does actually kind of help the role in, you know, portraying this character that still has that fiery passion that can move things forward.
And I do think that Ronnie is maybe meant to be a little older than Nick Cage actually
Yeah.
was, because he's talking about how, you know, he lost his hand 5 years before. And I'm like, so what, you were 18?
Yeah.
I know, right?
Emilio, you mentioned Danny Aiello too, and I think that he definitely shares the quality that's also present with Cher and Vincent Gardenia and Olympia Dukakis of like that expression that contains it all. There's like a moroseness to him that
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
pervades the role, but also that he's a little bit more outwardly emotive than a lot of other people around him. That, I mean, you see him in the scene when he is at what he thinks is his mother's deathbed, you see him burst out in tears.
That's
Yeah.
one of my favorite scenes. And the mom puts her hand up. She's like,
I love her. I wanted more of her.
I know, me
Me
too.
too.
I want her to
definitely-
hang out with Grandpa.
I think so too. I
think
might
they
hit
get
it off.
along.
Yeah.
But even in the marriage proposal scene too, there's just, you know, something, you know, you feel like he's on the edge of tears there too.
he's a mama's boy.
He is.
Exactly.
He's a
Yeah.
big baby.
He is a big baby.
Not in a way that is meant to be joked about. It's just, you know, the honesty of that character.
And maybe also part of an Italian stereotype,
Yeah.
right? This idea
Yeah.
that like there is a type of Italian man that's just is still a mama's boy
And
in his
even
40s.
this, like, in this time period, and certain families and certain cultures do have this, expectation to stay close and stay close by physically also.
Right.
Yeah,
That's a good point.
And I think that Johnny being a mama's boy, I mean, that's also pointed out as something that establishes the disconnect between him
And Ronnie.
and Loretta too, though, because that, like, Loretta is more independent. Even though she still lives with her family, you get much more of a sense that she is self-sufficient. She could get by on her own. You get less of that sense with Johnny.
Yeah, I mean, Johnny has to have Loretta mother him. Like, Loretta has to remind him to wear his hat. Loretta has to remind him not to eat fish.
before
Like,
the flight, right?
like, he's looking for somebody to mother him.
Yeah.
And when, spoiler alert, when mommy can just continue to do it, then he doesn't need a lady.
Yeah.
It's funny though, because Johnny's character seems to like that and kind of knows that about himself.
Yeah, totally.
In that dinner scene, he's like, you look after me. I like that. I like that you look after me. There's something comforting to him about that, which as the movie progresses, you see is just like part of who this guy is,
Totally.
for better or for worse.
And also that Loretta has to kind of coach him in making his proposal. She has to tell him to get down on one knee.
love this.
She has to tell him to use his pinky ring for the proposal.
And he doesn't even want to give it to her.
Yeah.
I know.
It's
I'm
like, I like this
Are
ring.
you kidding me, dude? that scene just cracked me
He
up.
bothered to like inform the restaurant staff
Bobo,
of his
Yeah.
proposal, but
Yep.
didn't bother to buy her freaking ring.
Yeah, that whole scene to me is amazing. When the John Mahoney character is like turns around, and he's like, "Wait, is that guy praying?"
Yeah.
It's just
That's
that
a
the
great line.
whole moment is
The Italians
fantastic.
next to them, when you propose to a woman, you need a ring, capiche?
Yeah. So good. So
Yeah, and I mean, well, the way that proposal comes up to, and the way that Loretta is just kind of prompting Johnny throughout that is, I mean, that also brings into the picture something that I think is a very important theme in this movie, which is superstition.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
point. Yep.
Because
Very
that her
important.
previous husband had not proposed in that manner, and she believes that contributed to his demise.
Oh, and a lot of things.
And so, in some respects, maybe this is actually how Loretta would really like it,
Yeah.
right? Because she feels like she can have the control to maneuver things so that she feels like she's acting in a way that is going to go contrary to the bad luck that she's had before.
But I think like she wants somebody to just know these things. Like I think that she wants to course correct and she wants to do things
I see.
right.
I see what
But
you're
she doesn't
saying,
want to have to. I mean, she seems okay with it at the beginning because she is settled for this life.
Right.
But I think ideally she does not want to have to coach a man to
Right.
do these things.
Makes sense, yeah.
Because it's common sense.
Yes.
Good point.
And I think
Yeah.
that as the movie goes along, she realizes more and more to know herself
Yeah.
like her mother knows herself. Her father doesn't know himself.
Yeah.
And I love when Rose is on, like the little, what becomes like a dinner date.
Yeah.
And, he asks to come up and she's like, no, I'm a married woman. I know myself.
Yeah.
And
he's
it
like,
lets-
oh, is it because there's people home? And she's like, no, it's because I'm married.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And I think that Loretta needed to realize who she was and is in
Yeah.
this film, and she does at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and turning attention back to the actors specifically too, this also was a breakthrough for a lot of people in it.
Yeah.
Cher obviously was famous beforehand, although this is still early in her acting career. But then, with a lot of the other people in it, like this was a big breakthrough for Olympia Dukakis as well,
Yeah.
who already had a much more robust theater career. But as a film actor, this was a breakthrough, as well as for John Mahoney, who was also mostly a theater actor, but then you see him in a bunch of great character roles.
I just
Yeah.
want to say for Olympia Dukakis that she says that prior to this film, she was putting her kids through college on credit cards.
Wow.
Wow.
So
Good
Yeah.
for her, man.
yeah. So
Yeah.
at the success of this film, and I think the success that she garners after, again, Look Who's Talking makes like $150 million. So I'm sure she collected a nice check from that one, like kind of right after this.
She also was
Yeah.
in Steel Magnolias, which is
Yeah.
a huge movie too.
Exactly.
And
So
then
I think this
yeah,
movie
just
really
cleaning up.
sets up the rest of her career in a way where she's able to finally be like financially comfortable at the first point in her life in a long time.
Amazing.
Also, Danny Aiello, he had a career before this, but this really made him much more of a spotlighted actor. This is just 2 years before Do the Right Thing.
Yeah.
I mean, if you know that character, it's kind of refreshing to see him in Moonstruck.
Yeah.
He's much more sympathetic in that role in Moonstruck. But then also, I mean, Nicolas Cage is still young. This really He had some things before. I mean, Valley Girl in particular, I think
Peggy Sue got married.
Peggy Sue
which
got
is where
married.
Cher saw him.
Exactly.
And way before that, of course, as we know, Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
That's true.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that same year, Raising Arizona.
But yeah, the combo of
the
this
same
and
year,
and Raising Arizona, I think really was his like arrival, his breakthrough.
Yeah, apparently I heard that Nicolas Cage he didn't particularly want to do this movie,
Mhm.
and that the deal that he made with his agent is that he would do this movie if his agent would let him do Vampire's Kiss, because his agent did not want him to do a Vampire's Kiss.
So you know what? This movie is actually extremely important because I think Vampire's Kiss is the movie that kind of gave you the crazy Cage
the
blueprint.
Cage, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
also the image of him that's been memed so much with
Exactly.
the wide open eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A, B, C, D, E, F, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, P.
That was great.
But also to talk like on the opposite end of things, that there's like these people who the film helps to spotlight, but there's also these like these other actors who have had long careers up to this point who become, an important part of the fabric of this movie, where you have people like Vincent Gardenia, of course, but also one person we've mentioned the character but not the actor yet, Fyodor Shalyapin,
Yes.
who plays the
Oh, yeah.
grandpa,
Yeah.
who was like 80 years old when they made the movie, and who had worked with people like Fellini before.
Mhm.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
had an extremely long career, and his father was an opera singer.
Oh, how
Hey,
fitting.
bringing it all
Oh.
back.
Yeah, and one other person who's worth pointing out in this regard too is Julie Bovasso,
Yeah,
who plays Aunt Rita Capomaggi, who the actress Julie was an acting teacher too.
yeah.
Very cool.
During some of their more tense moments on set when actors couldn't quite get into the scene that they were supposed to be acting in, that she was a vital resource.
She also is native to Brooklyn,
Mhm.
born and raised in Bensonhurst. And so she had a really authentic Brooklyn accent. So Norman Jewison has Julie Bovasso record a lot of Loretta's lines for Cher to listen back to.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
And like work with her really directly on
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the pronunciation.
Very cool.
Yeah.
She is central to, I think, my favorite moment in this movie.
Ooh, I'm excited.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and then playing her husband is Louis Gus, who, I mean, I couldn't find as much of like a story about his presence in the movie or his career in general, but he's another one of those people who had a very long career as a character actor leading up to this movie. He even had an uncredited role in The Godfather.
Yeah.
I love the scene of them when he's seeing the moon and she's
It's
like,
Cosmo's
in
moon.
this light, you look like you're about, I don't
That's my favorite scene in this movie.
it
I think
makes
that's-
me tear
Yeah.
up.
Sweet.
There is no better advertisement for
Marriage.
marriage
Yeah.
or a long commitment to a relationship than what is portrayed
Mhm.
and conveyed in that moment. I was deeply moved by that moment.
Oh, it always
It's really
chokes me
special.
up
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
It's kind of a salve, I think, when you compare it to how messy a lot of the other relationships in this movie
Absolutely.
are. The two of them are so sweet, and that they've been able to keep like passion alive through many, many years.
And they work
of
together. They
marriage.
Yeah.
have their
And-
mart together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think
love that
they're
scene.
the only couple in the movie who don't have like some kind of qualifier to their relationship.
Yeah.
It's like it's just pure love. There's no like affair or risk of an affair.
Mhm.
Yeah. That one hit me like a ton of bricks. This
Yeah.
is why this movie is so good.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at that moment, you see this beautiful, heartfelt scene.
Yeah.
And then Loretta's getting up and looking at the same moon as she's finding her actual real person that she's supposed to be with
Right.
in her life. And I just love that connection.
Yeah.
That's great.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Well, we're going to shift gears slightly on the subject of things that hit me like a ton of bricks. This being my first watch of Moonstruck, I could not help seeing that this movie shares a central theme to another film that it went toe to toe with, both at the box office and at the Oscars, which is Fatal Attraction. Both of these movies were immensely successful and carry on in pop culture to this day, yet they could not be more tonally different from each other when it comes to how they treat infidelity, obsession, and its effects on a family. So I'm curious, what does this movie gain by having such a light touch about this subject matter? And I would also ask on the flip side, do you think Moonstruck suffers in any way to you for taking the tone that it does about infidelity?
All the way back to the first viewing, I always admired how the movie handles this subject matter. especially in contrast to its theme of superstition. And that, you get a real sense in the fabric of this story that these characters put a lot of stock in tradition and in doing things in ways that are, that they believe will yield perfect outcomes. But then there's so much imperfection among the characters, and it turns out to all be okay.
Yeah.
Especially when you consider the religious element of this tradition that they are all acting in relation to. But I feel like this movie has a very life-affirming message of saying, like, it's okay, like, we all make mistakes sometimes. It comes through, in Loretta's scene in the confession booth.
Yeah.
Where,
What
that
was that
sandwiching it
second
in.
thing?
Yeah. That, but also in a lot of the lines that are given to Nicolas Cage's character, Ronnie. He really seems to understand that on an innate level, particularly when you think about that scene that he and Loretta have out in the cold outside of his apartment. So I think that there is, and it's struck me how, like, jumping ahead to the end of the movie, that everyone seems to come around so quickly, but not in a way that feels trite. It does feel earned.
Yeah, I think this movie found success commercially and awards-wise because of its lightness of tone, because it is a different approach to this subject matter, because there are plenty of movies out there that deal with the harms of infidelity, and often they can feel kind of dreary and depressing because you've got a lead who's being tortured by heartbreak. But nobody in this film, at least in the film, gets their heart broken. Like, I think Rose kind of feels like the person that's dealing with the most heartbreak, but I would argue that she's been dealing with that for a long time, like far before we enter the picture. You seem to disagree.
Well, no major character seems to deal with heartbreak, but there is one minor person who we see in just one scene of the movie. The person I'm thinking of is Chrissy, who is Ronnie's coworker at the bakery.
Okay, yeah.
Who is also in love with him. And you can tell, as brief as the screen time is, and I really want to give a shout out to the actor who plays her, whose name is Nada Despotovich, communicates so much with her eyes in that scene. In the commentary, Norman Jewison was saying that John Patrick Shanley had originally written another scene for that character, where actually following the conversation that Loretta and Ronnie have in the freezing cold, they go up to their apartment and she sees the light on and cries at the sight of it.
Yeah.
And that, her inclusion was an homage to the opera that is central to this story, La Boheme, with, the idea present in that story too, that, for every woman who gets the guy, another woman loses the guy.
Just while you've brought up La Boheme, I have to tell you guys that I completely, by coincidence, am seeing La Boheme at the Met this Friday.
Oh my gosh.
I accepted this ticket months ago from a person that we all know who occasionally listens to this podcast, who I won't name, but thank you again for the ticket. And you guys can probably guess who I'm talking about. But I accepted this ticket so long ago, I had forgotten what the central opera is in Moonstruck, because it's been a while since I've seen it. So when I turn it on and they immediately are setting up for La Boheme at the Met, I'm like, oh my God, that is literally what I'm seeing this week.
Fantastic.
Very
you should pop a little Asti Spumante
exactly
before you go.
Is there supposed to be a full moon that night?
I think so. Oh, this Friday. I thought you meant in the movie. I was like, it's always a full moon.
Yeah,
Moonstruck.
nothing but a full moon.
I do not know offhand.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I was going to say something about the fact that they're Catholic in this, I think helps with the infidelity because, and
go to
it's
confession.
funny to say this because then you go to the mob who just like kill people and stuff. But you're able to absolve yourself of these sins. So it does put a little bit of a lightheartedness to it.
Yeah.
Right.
Where in Fatal Attraction, I don't think that came into play.
That's true. You know what does come into play, though, in Fatal Attraction? That's
Rabbits?
also in Moonstruck. The centering around an opera in both of them.
Right.
Yeah. The Glenn Close character asks Michael Douglas to go with her to the opera in much the same way that Ronnie asks Loretta to do in Moonstruck, which I found kind of interesting.
I just wanted to say, you're talking about the confession and the, presence of Catholicism. And also on the commentary, John Patrick Shanley was saying that he originally had one more scene at the end of this movie. And in it, Cosmo goes to confession because he agrees.
I was gonna say,
Rose tells him,
You gotta do it.
You got to go to confession. So
part of my
Cosmo
terms.
goes to confession, and he ends up getting the same penance that Loretta did, which makes sense because they committed the same sin, which is volunteering at the men's shelter owned by the church. So you actually get a scene of the two of them. I don't think it was ever filmed, but in the screenplay, the two of them go and volunteer at the men's shelter as their penance.
No way.
And I didn't write down the exact wording, but Cosmo, goes to Loretta and says, like, why is it that all these men who have misstepped in their lives, they're dealing with so much pain, and I, who have also misstepped, am still doing okay? And Loretta says it's because you have your family with you.
Heavy.
Yeah.
I like that.
Not quite as light of an ending.
No,
but can also still be interpreted in a very sweet way.
I think so, for sure. I mean, as you take a swig of...
I didn't say on mic that the Coke can that I bought, I often will drink a Coca-Cola while we record. And this one, I did not check this when I went to the deli.
No
but
way.
It says family.
No way.
I
checked
just
this?
grabbed it. Julian was there.
Yes,
I literally
yes.
just grabbed it out of the fridge. I did not look and see that it
I
says
think there
family.
are
until
too
You
I
gotta
got
play
here.
signs.
You're playing La Boheme?
I think there's too many signs here.
Exactly.
That's something...
See, this movie, it just the magic of it.
Oh, my
finds its way,
goodness.
into the lives of those who watch it. Fatal Attraction gets widely released in the United States September 11th of 1987. And this movie takes hold right away. It's the third highest grossing movie of that year and becomes a movie that like everybody has an opinion about. So people are talking about this movie. Couples, single people. This is a phenomenon of a film. Moonstruck comes out December of 1987. In select cities, goes wide January 15th of the next year. And I agree. I think the American public had like the nightmare version of what happens when you cheat on your partner in Fatal Attraction. And Moonstruck is like the antidote.
Yeah.
It's the movie where there's a happy ending.
Everything turns out okay.
Yeah. And by the grace of God, your indiscretions are wiped away by either luck or, as you said before, and your Coke can is telling us, the overriding tidal wave that is a familial bond, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. In addition to it being a great vehicle for share and it being a really fun, sweet film, it would not surprise me if Moonstruck did well in the box office because it was the yang to the yin of... Is that right? The yang to the yin?
Sure. Or
the yin to the
reverse.
yang.
I think it doesn't matter.
Yeah, either one. It was the yang to the yin or the yin to the yang of Fatal Attraction.
Sound like you're rapping.
Yeah, I know, right? Thank you.
Yeah, much the same way that the characters of Loretta and Ronnie are the yin and the yang to each other.
Yeah.
This is a good point.
sure.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's one other detail that really makes me think that these movies are operating on the same wavelength. I think this is more coincidence, but okay, let me ask you, Jamie, because you've seen Fatal Attraction. And I'm not trying to call you out here, but do you remember what the last image that you see from Fatal Attraction is?
No, I don't remember the very...
That's
it her-
okay.
Is it her in the bathtub?
No, that does happen at the end.
What is it?
It's a picture of a family, just like Moonstruck.
Wow.
That both of these
my
movies...
God, yes,
That's
you're
crazy.
right.
The credits...
Down the
of-
stairs, right?
Yes.
Yes.
The credits of both of these films end on the same image, which is of the family that was able to be preserved by the ability to look past the mistakes of a central character.
Wow.
I think there was something in 1987 that was just like, America needed these two movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That is
That's
wild.
crazy.
They
Yeah.
do both end on a picture of family.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is crazy.
That's really
Wow.
That's wild.
Mic drop. I'm done. Now, I will say, I just spent a bunch of time comparing Moonstruck to Fatal Attraction, and I'd like to open this up a little broader to you guys.
Wider comparison.
Exactly. Let's start comparison corner.
Cool.
All right. Well, I'm going to go back to a few episodes ago on our podcast when we covered a different movie that I think is very much in dialogue with Moonstruck, which is Hester Street. Which,
Yeah.
I could see that, definitely.
So Hester Street comes out 12 years before Moonstruck, but that's another movie that is about a specific ethnic community, Jewish immigrants in this case. It's set much earlier in time, but immigrant experience, that's one connecting thread, but it's also crucially a film that is about infidelity, but also has, without spoiling it directly, I think a very resolute ending in spite of said infidelity.
Yeah.
There's also the sense, I think there's a similar dynamic of some characters, that the Jake character in Hester Street has a bit of that raw, unrestrained energy that you see in Ronnie in Moonstruck.
I definitely see that.
Yeah, which is countered by the quiet composure of Carol Kane's character, Giddle. There's also the sense that the supporting characters are these kind of more like stable in life people who are able to give sage advice to the more conflicted main characters. Like Mrs. Kowarski in Hester Street, is a lot like maybe the Kapomagis in Moonstruck. Also, one thing that strongly suggests to me that Hester Street was a conscious influence on John Patrick Shanley, or perhaps just something that he was engaging with, was that 1 year after Moonstruck, another notable film from the writer-director of Hester Street, Crossing Delancey, comes out, and who should cameo in a scene in that movie but John Patrick Shanley?
Good point.
Yes.
I thought a lot of Crossing Delancey with this one.
Yeah.
Because it's also like about the older generations telling the younger generations how they should move through life and what their romantic lives should look like.
Absolutely. Also, Hester Street, appropriately, not just to the movies, but that episode specifically, I remember thinking, watching Hester Street, it felt very natural. It could be a very natural stage play too. And we spoke to the person who adapted it for the stage.
Sharon Rothstein. Yeah.
Yes.
And for any listener who has not checked out our episode on Hester Street, I think it's a really good one.
Yeah, Hester Street, I think, is a really underrated movie that none of us had seen, and I think we're all kind of blown back by. So I highly recommend that.
Definitely. Fans of Moonstruck, I think, would be a fan of Hester Street.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to talk about Moonstruck and not reference its kind of like step grandchild in My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Never seen it.
And the Big Fat Greek Wedding verse. I think you were a little young, right? I can't
That sounds
remember.
right.
That movie was a legit phenomenon.
I
Was it
didn't
like
see it in theaters,
2000 that it came out or
but
something?
2002.
Mhm.
So I was 10 when this came out. I didn't see it in theater, but I'm pretty sure my parents did. And I think I've seen it since then, but not in a very long time. And I think that it has a lot less conflict in my memory.
It's like its shticky cousin.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's-
I was going to say.
It's much more wholesome. There's no infidelity that I remember in My Big Fat Greek Wedding. It's just like focusing on this like big cultural family and this addition of this fiance he's just like kind of a fish out of water.
Yeah, it's just the white guy and they're all Greek and they're like, you need to marry Greek.
Yeah.
And that's
the conflict.
That's the conflict.
It certainly brings to mind Crazy Rich Asians as well.
Yeah. But I think there's a lot more hostility towards Rachel, I think is the main character in Crazy Rich Asians.
Yes,
I don't
yes.
remember there really being hostility in My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
No. It takes place in New York, too.
Yeah, I think so.
So there's that connection between Moonstruck. But yeah.
I do think from my memory, My Big Fat Greek Wedding misses some of the magic of this movie. But as you said, Emilio, it still was incredibly successful at the time.
It was like one of the most successful independent films that's ever been made.
Mhm.
The cast is great too.
Yeah,
I mean,
cast is fun.
it's about as subtle as an elephant, though. I mean, like
That's
and
true.
Moonstruck, there's so much subtlety in all the characters.
That's a great point. Yeah, that movie is like really hitting you over the head.
Oh,
yeah, yeah, for sure. Fun fact about that movie: the school that we're affiliated with, one of the satellite schools, used to be located very close to a bakery that prominently in the front window let you know that they were the ones that baked the wedding cake for that film.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's
So,
very cool.
little New York connection there.
While we're talking about bakeries,
Mhm.
there's a great bakery in this movie,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
in Moonstruck.
Mhm.
And apparently, originally in the screenplay, that whole initial scene with Ronnie was supposed to be just upstairs in the bakery.
Mhm.
It's a real
and-
bakery.
Yeah. When they found that location, they actually had John Patrick Shanley rewrite that scene so that it could take place in the like underbelly with all the ovens. That's not how it was originally written. But they find this location and they're like, we can't not use these like cool hole in the wall ovens.
It helps set up his character so well,
He's
too.
like in the basement and
Yeah.
he's so dirty
Yeah.
down there.
He's dingy.
It's so
the guys
dark.
helping him are actually bakers
That's awesome.
from the bakery.
I like that. I like that. I got to say, too, the reveal that his hand is part wood
Yeah.
is so clever, though, because he has a glove in one hand
Yeah.
and he like takes it off of his right hand to reveal a normal hand.
Yeah.
And then later takes off that one to reveal
Oh,
a wooden
Wooden
hand.
hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was really clever. Like I was like, oh, how are they going to do this? And they did it in a really cinematic way. It was really fun.
Yeah.
I lost
Lost
my
my
hand.
hand.
I lost my
pride.
groove.
Johnny has his hand.
Johnny has his What, you just want me to sit down and forget?
Most iconic prosthetic hand that's not in a Star Wars movie.
I think Frederick Sykes from The Fugitive would like to have a conversation about that.
Sure.
Although that's a
yeah.
whole arm.
Yeah.
That's a whole
I
arm.
mean, a friend of mine who you guys know recently injured his hand and is having to be in like a glove on one hand
no.
while he recovers for several months. So I kind of want to recommend this movie and kind of want to suggest like the way that he can use this as a Halloween costume.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
Yeah, that would be great. Well, so this movie really felt to me like a 30s, 40s era screwball comedy, just with all the really sharp dialogue. And so for a friendlier, more nostalgic comparison than Fatal Attraction, I'm going to go with Frank Capra's You Can't Take It With You. Do you guys know that movie?
Yes.
I do not know this movie.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely a similar feel.
Really
Yes.
similar feel. Yeah. I haven't seen this movie since I was a kid, but I loved this movie as a kid. It's notably Frank Capra's first pairing with Jimmy Stewart, which is somebody who he would go on to work with a bunch.
First, wow.
Yeah. He would do Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, and obviously It's a Wonderful Life. But both movies are about an engagement, young love, and the hullabaloo that ensues when the parents and mismatched families get involved and begin to complicate not just the marriage, but the idea of marriage itself. And I think that's one of the really special things about You Can't Take It With You is that it's a movie that's very funny, but there's a lot of wisdom in the humor.
Mhm.
And I think that's something that it has in common with Moonstruck. So
That's a great one.
thank you.
The vibe is so similar.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
good. It's so good. Yeah.
And this has been Comparison Corner.
Thank you.
Sure has.
Yes.
So every relationship in this movie, they all are so intentional. They all have a purpose in the story that they're trying to tell. And one of the things I really love about this movie is how effective it is at telling multiple stories and how they intersect and how they contrast. And yeah, it's just great. So what message did you guys take away, first of all, from Loretta and Ronnie as a pairing versus Loretta and Johnny? Like, what is Loretta getting from her relationship with Ronnie that she was not getting out of her relationship with Johnny? This may be obvious, but I'm just curious kind of what you guys think.
I think a bit of control in her life
Yeah.
because she wasn't able to control what happened
Yeah.
tragically to her first husband, and it's easy and she doesn't have to think about it. And
Yeah.
like we've already said before, do you love him, Loretta?
Yeah.
It's easier not to be in love with somebody. Love can be very difficult.
Yeah.
When you really love somebody and they're pissing you off, it's difficult. So I think she gets to be a mother, which she is not yet. She's 37 and she's probably feeling that clock tick, and she's like, I
Yeah.
can just mom this guy.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side of that, she gets to be a woman again.
Totally. You hit the nail on the head. And I think that, Ronnie is able to really pull her out of a depression and a complacency that she's felt for a really long time, I think since the death of her husband. And Johnny is easy.
Mm-hmm.
And easy is easy to settle for, but
Mhm.
it's not sustainable, I think.
Yeah,
Right.
that's a good point. I want to come back to a scene that we mentioned before that we really liked, which is the scene of the main couples in this film all looking up at
Yeah.
the moon. I think that scene really encapsulates everything that's kind of going on in these relationships, right? You have the Capomagis, who clearly have a little bit of a spark left in them, which I just find so sweet and endearing. But then you also have Rose and Cosmo, who you see their disconnect in a really big way. And then you also see the emerging love between Ronnie and Loretta. And I think that that's one of those things where it's like, you could never really see Johnny in Ronnie's position in that moment.
Yeah.
He's not going to give that moment its gravitas.
Yeah.
He's going to be more of a Cosmo than he's going to be his brother.
And it
Cool.
kind of shows too that it was once Cosmo's moon, and
Yeah.
he strayed from that, and he lost it, and that's why when he's drinking too much wine at the table, and I don't want to talk about it, he's lost his moon. And if you keep your moon, you keep yourself, you keep your love.
Yeah. And I also love the kind of wolf energy here where it's like
Of course.
the movie gets very playful where it's like the wolf is meant to be kind of like a cad, but
Yeah.
I also think it's meant to bring out some sort of truth inside of you.
Yeah.
That like the moon pulling is kind of extracting some sort of truth from within people. And I think that's
the
something.
moon brings the woman to the man.
There we go. Yes, yes.
Yeah. The original title of this film, when it was just a screenplay, was The Bride and the Wolf.
Terrible title.
Which sounds like a horror movie.
Oh, I know.
That's exactly
Yeah.
what everyone said when they
Yeah.
saw it,
Including Norman Jewis.
including
Yeah.
him. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what another really interesting aspect of having all of these different couples with their varying degrees of harmony together is also the sense of accountability
Mhm.
in each of them, because that varies too. And, you know, it's been well established at this point that the Capomagis are the most stable couple in the film. But then also, when you look at Loretta's parents, Rose has to hold Cosmo accountable, that she has to call him out. She knows that he's having an affair. He probably has been for a while. And she says it to his face. And he is both angry, but he seems to understand where she's coming from there too. But then Rose, you know, she is on the brink of having an affair of her own with Perry from the restaurant, but she has the restraint. She has her own accountability. And then when we look back to the center of the story too, Loretta and Ronnie, that they know what they're doing is, in the sense of her existing relationship, wrong in theory.
Yeah.
Maybe it's, you can chalk it up to the supernatural element, but they just kind of know that they have to follow the natural path that they feel with each other. But then to point to a moment in a scene that it's, you know, central to the movie, though we haven't talked much about it yet, the opera scene. So Loretta and Ronnie are there, as is Cosmo with Mona, who he is seeing on the sly. They're all there. And then eventually Loretta sees her father with this woman and she's shocked, but she doesn't try to go back into the crowd and, you know, back away from it. She calls him out right on the spot. That's a moment in the character arc of Loretta that really struck me, because no, she's not afraid of dealing with this. She's going to face it head on right there.
Yeah. And he also calls her out.
I
Yes.
love that dynamic. I mean,
Yes.
it's so funny. It's that their whole interplay is great.
Because they both say something like, well, maybe I didn't see you here. Like, maybe I didn't see you here. Like,
Yeah.
It's like,
because,
you're my daughter. You're my father. And
yeah, like
it's-
you're engaged. You're married.
exactly. Yeah.
This back and forth, I think, is really great. And I think that you are on Loretta's side, I think, because she does vocalize throughout the entire time, all of her interactions with Ronnie, she vocalizes that she knows this is wrong.
Mhm. Yeah.
So we do know, like, she does have that, like, conscience.
That's
She
true.
has such a good combination of her two parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, definitely.
Emilio, earlier you were talking about, like, well, what does this movie gain or lose from how it treats infidelity? And I think the fact that it's addressed a lot as, like, people catch Loretta and Ronnie, they're
Mhm.
not hiding it. It's seemingly they're not even really trying to. They're out at the Met together. They're giving each other love bites. Like, so Rose
Giving
calls
each other love bites. What are you doing with your life?
Rose calls her out on it. Cosmo calls her out on it. And so I think that it helps, you know, us as the audience accept the subject matter when we're like, well, the movie's not trying to gloss over it.
Right. That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
You already were kind of getting into this, Julian, but I wanted to add on, like, how does the grouping of Rose and Cosmo and Mona and Perry is John Mahoney's character, like, how does that grouping contrast with the love triangle of Loretta, Johnny, Ronnie? Like, what are we seeing in this other love jumble
Yeah.
of many people that maybe the other love triangle can learn from, either as cautionary or
Well, we just all know that Johnny's wrong.
yeah.
So I think as an audience member, you're like, you can't marry this
You can't marry
wet
that
blanket.
guy.
Like, you're really going to, you know. But I think we touched on it before. I think it shows Rose's groundedness and how she knows herself
Yeah.
and how Loretta needs to channel that a little bit more. And Cosmo actually did commit infidelity.
Yeah.
Loretta's not married.
That's true.
Yeah.
So
there is that.
It's much weightier what Cosmo is doing to Rose
Yeah.
Yeah.
than what
That's
Loretta
true.
is
And
doing.
they've lived a long, long life together. They've
Yeah.
raised a daughter and all that stuff.
I
So,
think
yeah.
they also have a son that's mentioned but not seen.
Okay.
Mhm.
I was curious about that.
Yeah.
If Loretta was an only child. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Like Loretta's whole story is caught in this moment when, for her relationship wise, there is still time to change.
Yeah.
This whole story captures that experience of change. Whereas, like, as you have said already, that yes, in Cosmo and Rose's case, this is, following many, many years of being together. And then when you think of some of these other peripheral characters like Mona and Perry, then, it's the opposite because these are more relationships in development.
Yeah.
So Loretta is kind of in the perfect middle ground of this whole spectrum of relationships that are forming or have long since formed. I really am struck, pun intended, by how neat this film is while still dealing with all these different types
Messy.
of messy relationships.
Really messy. Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that just hit me is, would Perry be the kind of Ronnie of that?
I guess. I mean,
Kinda
sure.
ish. Okay. I'm going to compare the two of them a little bit here, which is, I think one of the things that Perry has that Ronnie doesn't have is self-awareness.
Yeah.
So Perry, he knows
He does know himself.
he knows himself, and he acts in ways that don't necessarily serve him, even though he knows he shouldn't at
Yeah.
times, but he leads on with that. And part of that self-awareness is why he's able to step away from Rose in that moment. He's
Yeah.
like, yeah, okay, you know what? I get it. That's not something that Ronnie has.
Yeah.
He really does not have self-awareness, and it's meant to be a compliment to his character.
Yeah.
That he is so fiery, that he is so passionate,
Yeah.
and that he's, to use a term that Julian, you once used, and I can't remember which episode of this
I
podcast
think
you
I know what
did,
you're going to say.
but that he's like the id.
Yep.
Huh.
He's the id in this movie.
The episode where I brought that up was when we discussed the Nixon movies. It was about Dick.
Ah, thank you.
Yeah.
There we go.
Ah,
Yes.
Dick.
Yeah.
Great movie.
But yeah, so I think that that's something that separates them.
Totally.
And I think also allows for the characters to define themselves eventually.
Yeah.
One being a diversion
Mhm.
that rightfully gets put to the side,
Yeah.
and the other as being this opening of a door to this new life
Yeah.
that is able to mix things up a little bit and kind of be the yin to the yang.
Yeah.
I also think Mona represents like so much of the artificial. This movie is so, family is supposed to be so organic and,
That's a great
and based on love and all of that kind of stuff. And Cosmo is trying to get away from the things that are grounded and familiar to him. And so you have this plastic,
Totally.
pink,
yeah.
blushing her tits in the bathroom, just
Yeah.
the worst. Like, ugh, I can't even imagine hanging out with this person. And he gravitates towards this because he just wants this little tart that he can throw around that is completely meaningless because he doesn't want any meaning. He's trying to get
Yeah.
away from it.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's a great point, actually. Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
the scene too where he gives her that bracelet with the stars and the birds. I guess the birds are going to the
Flying
stars.
to the
And then he
stars.
kind of like scratches his ear. You know that Rose would be like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
What are you
Totally.
talking about?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it works on her.
It works on her, and he's disgusted in himself. You can
Right.
see it on him the whole time.
It's like,
Yeah.
God, this is a real step down.
Yeah,
Yeah. Totally.
I'm getting
Yeah.
old.
Yeah. And I just wanted to shout out some of the very minor relationships or reference to relationship drama that we see in this movie. The woman at the airport that places a curse on the airplane.
Yeah, but she doesn't believe in curses.
Loretta doesn't believe in curses,
Bad
so
luck,
it's
but
fine. And
curses,
she was,
no,
in
yeah.
fact, correct. He was fine. But, she's talking about, like, oh, my sister's on that plane, and she stole a man from me 50 years ago, and she didn't even like him. Like, I really like that. I also like the couple in the liquor store.
Yes.
Mhm.
And I
Definitely.
like that they're a combination of a few different relationships that we see in the movie. The woman calls the man a wolf, the way that Loretta calls Ronnie a wolf later. But it also ends with them making up, and it ends with him saying to her, when I look at you, I see the woman I married.
I
Or
totally
the girl
see
I
it.
married.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that reminds me of Rita and Raymond.
Yeah,
Their
yeah.
moment of Rita telling Raymond, like, oh, you look like, you're 17 or whatever. Like,
25.
yeah,
25.
25. So
Yeah.
it's I really like that cute little couple in the liquor store also. And-
Yeah,
Same.
agreed. And I mean, something that's displayed with them that's also displayed, in the central relationship of the film with Loretta and Ronnie is just this sense that the bickering that's inherent to these couples is also, that's their way of expressing love. I mean, to continue with another comparison, to a movie that came out a few years later that we have covered, I couldn't not think of My Cousin Vinny.
Yeah.
Seeing those relationships
Very
where
Italian.
yeah,
Very
but that's
Italian.
yeah, but that's a big thing in that movie too. I mean, I think our guest on that episode, Rob McClure, was saying it very well, that like the contention between Vinny and Mona Lisa Vito, that is the love with them.
Right. That's a good
Yeah,
point.
that this is their way of showing that they understand each other.
I love that. Are there any fun, notable scenes or little details that we want to shout out from this movie? I feel like there's a ton.
There's
I feel like
so many.
we could just.
I feel like it's almost a little bit erroneous to call any detail little in this movie, because so much of it is very big. But something right up front in the movie that's funny we haven't mentioned it yet. That's Amore.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is the first thing you hear in the movie, and the last thing.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just time, but I feel like that song in this day and age is often used as a punchline.
I don't think it's time. I think that was the case at that time as well.
Yeah.
And they originally tested this movie with an excerpt from La Boheme at the beginning, and it did not test well. And when the editor suggested to Norman Jewison to use That's Amore, Norman Jewison was like, I hate that song.
It's perfect.
But that's what he
it
said.
is, though. Yeah,
I
it
mean, when
ends
the
up being
moon
perfect.
hits your eye.
Yeah, he was like, I went back and I listened to it. I read these lyrics and I was like, well, of course this is the song. Of course we have to use this.
But I think also, I mean, to what I think you're leading to here, Jamie, I think it just sets the tone of the movie really nicely.
Yeah.
It lets you know that what you're going to see is kind of whimsical. Like,
it's big and
there's
it's
some-
whimsical and it's a little cheesy.
Yeah. And there's,
Like Italians.
and there's heavy stuff in the movie, but you were never going to feel like it's too heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While we're still on this point, I just want to say, like, a gripe that's not really a gripe with the movie is that I feel like it might have been amusing if there was a scene where Loretta and Ronnie maybe go to an aquarium, because when you go to the aquarium and you see an eel that pops its head out of a piece of coral, that's Amore.
Oh my God.
I'm glad that was the reaction.
Not just eye rolling.
Yeah.
I think that's your mic drop.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay.
I've had
That's
that
good.
in my head since college.
Oh, good. I'm so glad it found a place.
Yeah.
How about you guys? Anything? Any detail?
I love that, Asti Spumante really is something that my family would use to like celebrate things. I remember my grandma bringing it out. We didn't do the sugar cubes because it already is just
Really sweet.
painfully sweet. But I love that no matter what, it's like popped out.
Mhm.
And it kind of feels like the song That's Amore.
Yeah, a little
Yeah.
bit.
Like there was a drink that would be the drink. I don't know.
Yeah, I totally see.
It's fizzy.
Yeah.
I totally see what you mean. Cher on the commentary in that scene with her and her father where she tells him that she's engaged. She says that she actually got pretty drunk because they were using real champagne.
Ah, okay.
And that apparently Cher doesn't really drink, so she's kind of a lightweight. So like by the end of this shooting schedule, she's like pretty plastered.
I love that. That's great. There's one moment in this movie that just cracked me up, and I was not ready for it, which is when Ronnie, just knocks the table over, and he kind of like slicks his hair back a little bit.
Yeah,
Like he
totally.
does this like little move where he's like puffing himself up a bit. But then they start making out, and then he picks her up,
Yeah.
and then just out of nowhere just yells, "Son of a bitch!" I'm trying to figure out like what was going on there.
Who knows?
That's so funny. That's
Like
so
it
true.
kind of works though. Like
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
so unhinged in that moment.
Yeah. Well, there was like some footage on the DVD that I got from the library of what looked like table reads of the script when the film was still in production. And everyone else, even Cher, they're like dressed in everyday clothes, but Nicolas Cage, even for a table read, shows up in like a leather jacket with slicked back hair.
Of course.
Of course he does.
That may have just been his uniform at the time.
Yeah.
I do love right after he yells, "Son of a bitch." I love that it's just complete abandon. Like she just
she
gives
just
up.
gives up.
Yeah.
She's
and-
like, let it out on me, because they're both pretty damaged in
Tortured
different ways,
people, yeah.
people and I think that like solidifies all of it, really, to be honest.
No,
Not
no,
take
for
it out
sure.
on me. Just take it all out on me.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it.
She says some line too about like, I'm just skin.
Leave nothing but the skin on my bones.
Yeah, I'm like,
nothing left for
whoa.
him to marry.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, it's like pretty risque.
Yeah. It's like, but it's all verbal. It's like,
Yes, of course.
you
The PG.
you don't really see them like taking off any clothes. You don't get an extended sex scene. Like it,
Yeah.
they're actually what you see is very chaste, but it is kind of risque.
Like that
dialogue.
moment's like, oh damn. Like,
yeah.
like- so anyway.
The snap out of it too,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
fact
Yeah, the
that
snap
it's
out
not
of it.
even acknowledged. She slaps him twice, really
Yeah.
hard, and
Yeah.
they just continue on. Like
Yep.
any normal man would be like, "Dude, don't slap me like that," you know.
Yeah.
He
no,
needs
that's-
to be slapped.
He really does.
did.
He really does. That's a good point.
Oh yes, Nicolas Cage looks like James Dean when he is at that front door at the end of that movie.
Ooh. Yes. Okay, so Rose answers. the
Rose
door.
answers the door.
You see him, like in the doorway, and it's the hottest he is in the whole movie.
I think maybe ever.
It's kind of insane because once he actually like enters the house and
You're
you
like,
get more of a
"Eh."
profile, you're like, okay, that's Nicolas Cage.
but just that shot.
yeah,
looks like
You're like,
I
there
know
it is.
exactly the moment you're talking about. I
Yeah.
thought the same thing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, he walks in, I mean, maybe he loses some of the aura of James Dean,
Uh-huh.
but I felt like he totally won me over in that ending. By the way, the ending of this movie is absolutely
Spectacular.
bonkers.
Yeah.
Spectacular. But like he kind of wins you over. He's like, yes, I would love some oatmeal.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
so nice to meet you.
Yeah,
He's being
yeah.
very polite, like a meet
Totally.
the parents.
Exactly.
Actually,
I love
another
how Rita goes,
comparison.
It's Johnny Camerari.
Oh yeah, that's a great reading.
I mean, like, while we're talking about like Nicolas Cage, also towards the end of the movie. So one, like, this is genuinely a little detail that nothing's even said about, but that I noticed in his apartment, the last scene where you see him sitting in there, is that he has these 2 little pet birds,
Yeah, I noticed that
and
too.
I mean that are in
yeah.
a cage, and I guess maybe there's a pretty on the nose metaphor of him being kind of a caged bird there.
Yeah.
But I thought that
Nicolas Cage being a caged bird.
Hey,
Sorry. I was right there.
Don't apologize.
Okay. All right.
That's very welcome here.
Okay.
But yeah, I like that was something. And also I just admired how neat his apartment is.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for
Yeah.
bringing this up. I was also pleasantly surprised because he is kind of
Dirty.
characterized as being like a loose cannon.
Yeah.
No loose cannon's apartment looks
Yeah,
like
his
that.
bed was very made,
Yeah.
Yeah.
nice crisp sheets.
But
Exactly.
it's
Yeah.
definitely still a dude's apartment, though.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, but somebody who cares about where they live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting duality that I think he lets out the more raw side of him in his work and in his love life too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We started talking about this final scene, which is crazy and was a really difficult scene to film, as you can imagine. I
Mhm.
mean, we said up top that they really want to film it kind of like a theater scene, like a stage scene. But it was like Nicolas Cage didn't really want to be in this scene. He like didn't really feel like he fit into it because so much of the conflict is kind of between other characters and he doesn't really want to be there. And there's like, Norman Jewison was talking about how he just couldn't quite get what he wanted, like out of a lot of these actors. And Julie Bavasso, it really starts to like tick Cage off, like to try to rile him up to be able to do this scene.
The
And
acting coach
Yeah,
or
exactly.
acting
Yeah.
teacher. Yeah.
she like gets him upset enough that he ends up like throwing a chair at some point.
Yeah. I think
Really?
she like winked to someone
And
after that
she
happened.
like winks to Cher
Yeah.
afterwards.
Oh,
like,
she's like, I know
you
what I'm doing.
Yeah, and
He-
then they finally start filming.
He threw a chair, not a share.
Yes, that's true.
Oh.
That would be very different.
Thank goodness he didn't throw a share.
He just chucks her across the
Very different ending to this movie. Yeah, everyone in the hospital.
But yeah, so I think that this is definitely feels like a difficult scene to capture just because you're
Yeah.
trying to tie so many things up because it does end so nicely. Like Johnny comes in and he's like breaking up with Loretta. Like he doesn't want to marry her either, but she of course is like she doesn't want to marry him, but you still want him to marry you. Like
Yeah,
you know?
right.
Like,
Yeah.
You want to be the one that breaks it up.
exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, Johnny, this guy is like an all-world cuck in
Yeah.
this movie.
Yeah.
Can you imagine your sibling, even if you have a rift,
And
going
even
to
if
you-
they're 23 years younger. than you.
exactly, even they're 23 years younger, thank you, going to you and being like, okay, so you don't want to marry your fiance, I'm gonna do it, and
With
can
the
you
ring.
with your ring? And then he like gives it over to him. I'm like, dude, are you kidding me?
But I think like he comes in and he is all prepared to have to break up with Loretta. There's a certain amount of relief where he's like, well, at least no one's mad at me.
Yeah.
At least,
That's true.
At least I get off scot-free. And I mean, it's not like I went out and bought this ring.
That's
It's
true.
just
Yeah, that's
some
right. He doesn't
ring.
have to go back and
And Ronnie will probably replace it. Like, well, it's probably just a stand-in. That's what they
Right.
said about it when Johnny used it.
It's
so
a pinky ring.
Yeah. Oh man, you brought up the moment too earlier, Jamie, that I love, which when Rose is like, "You got love bites on your neck."
Yeah.
I love how in that moment, this movie and these characters have already been just like so messy that there's like no judgment. She's not like, "How could you have done this?" She's like, "Girl,
She's like, cover up.
cover
Go put on some
exactly,
makeup.
exactly. Do it now because he's
Yeah.
coming." Like, I don't know what it is like that. The second time I saw this, I was dying of
So
laughter
good.
over
So
that.
That's
So
another
funny.
thing that made me think of Hester Street. I mean, like the dynamic between them there made me think a lot of like Mrs. Kowarski and
Yeah.
Giddle in that movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Mrs. Kowarski has some Rose energy in that moment where she's just like, just telling it like it is, man.
Yeah.
Like rolling with the punches. Yeah. Yeah. For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Speaking of Olympia Dukakis, you guys know who her cousin is?
Michael Dukakis.
Is Michael
Yeah.
Dukakis,
Yes.
who's like actively running for president at the same time this movie comes
That's a
out.
good point.
Yeah.
Yes.
He
Didn't turn out
couldn't
that
help
way.
her kids with college.
Yeah.
Putting
Mm.
stuff on
You know,
credit
that's
cards.
a very
Yeah.
good point.
That's a very good point.
He's running for president with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
I hear that's pretty expensive.
Yeah. You
Yeah,
gotta
but
get
still,
a lot of money
come
for
on.
that. Yeah.
Family. No.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, you know,
Oh,
and when
man.
it comes to emphasizing family, this is even giving the Fast and the Furious franchise a run for its money.
Yeah.
or perhaps a
definitely.
drive for its money. You know, as we're wrapping up little details, one last general thing I want to give a shout out to is just the neighborhood Brooklyn Heights.
Yeah.
You know, you have this family where, you know, the person who is ostensibly the breadwinner is a plumber and they're living in this big, nice house. They've built up wealth over many years. But it's also just an incredibly picturesque neighborhood. At one point, when Johnny Camerari is getting into a cab coming back from Sicily, he shouts out the address 19 Cranberry Street, which is indeed where they shot the exterior of that scene. And also you get like a nice look at the Brooklyn Heights promenade during one moment when you see the grandpa out walking his dogs.
Julian, I know you also listen to the commentary, so you know this story, but do you guys know about Cher setting her coat on fire?
Yeah.
I don't know about this.
Yeah,
no.
so in the scene where they're outside after going to the opera, and it's the like really cold looking scene, which was very cold in reality also. And it like took a lot of convincing to even get Cher outside to film this scene because it's like below zero with wind chill and they're freezing. And they have these space heaters in the doorways behind them. And Cher just kind of backs up and her scarf just kind of like gets, you know, it stays on the space heater for just long enough that it goes up in flames and it singes her coat.
Oh my.
And they have to
Okay.
like put out Cher on fire in the middle of like it's the middle of the night. It's like 0 degrees. So I'm glad that she's okay. She said she still has the coat and it's singed, but it's still wearable.
Love it.
What do you guys say?
Wow.
Universe sharing?
Yeah, I think it's
Yep.
time.
Yeah. I can get us started if you want.
Sure.
Sure.
Okay. So when we come to the conclusion of Moonstruck, Johnny seems to have made a certain amount of peace about the whole brother swooping in to marry his fiance situation. I would argue he gets over this awfully quickly. A refrain like, "Hey, we're a family," might be enough for someone like Dominic Toretto, but not for me. And I would argue not for most people who are in Johnny's position. Yeah, I don't think Johnny is who we think he is. Maybe he's actually in Sicily for other reasons. Maybe some business, maybe some mafia business. Maybe his mother has several good years left to live, and his return to New York only seems like a hasty move on his part. His calling off the wedding is actually an elaborate plan to shake off Loretta, who he fears has gotten too close to him and might actually come to learn who he actually is and what he really does for money. I would argue that Johnny has actually made himself a pretty powerful presence in New York's mafia scene. He operates out of a restaurant and goes by Old Tony. and has a solid reputation in Little Italy. In fact, he regularly holds on to people's money as though he was a bank, justifying this position he's acquired by saying, banks get knocked over, but no one knocks over old Tony. He is something of a fixer for the mafia's many issues. In short, if you need to get rid of someone, you call old Tony, because he is an ace hitman on speed dial, a sunglass-wearing, beanie-sporting badass with a soft spot for plants and Gene Kelly.
This rings a bell, but I can't quite place it.
Yeah, same here.
This is The Professional.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't really know this
Not
one.
Leon the
Not
Professional.
Leon the
Yeah.
Professional, I guess. It goes maybe
Oh,
that's
okay.
right.
Oh,
I
yeah.
always assumed. I always knew it as Leon the Professional.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, great.
The
I
Luc Besson?
actually have not
Yeah.
seen this.
Yeah. Gotcha.
I've been meaning to. I've watched the trailer. I
Yeah.
forgot he was
It's
in
very good.
Yeah, no, I think there's an argument to be made there. Another thing I realized, okay, how far do we think Ronnie is in the chain at that bakery?
I think he owns it.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
Yeah,
Camerari Bros.
yeah,
right?
exactly. Brothers, right?
Yeah, totally.
Which makes me
Which
think
makes Johnny the
that
brother.
Johnny might be a little bit more involved with this than we think.
Yeah.
And in The Professional, Johnny runs a restaurant.
There we go.
So-
he has experience.
He's got experience in the food industry.
Mm.
I think this is, I don't know, guys. maybe?
Not bad. Well done.
And this is Danny Aiello, by the way.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
who plays Johnny Camerari in Moonstruck, but plays Old Tony in the movie we've discussed now. Yes.
Oh wow, yeah. I got to see more things with him because apart from Moonstruck, I of course do the right thing. But then he has a small part in The Godfather Part 2 as one of the goons who
That's
tries
right,
to
yes.
assassinate Pentangeli.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Michael Corleone says hello.
There
That
we
guy.
go.
Well, I would like to propose a backstory about a different character.
Okay.
That character would be Perry, who Rose speaks to at the Grand Ticino, who, as we know well from that and his other major appearance in Moonstruck, has difficulty with his personal relationships. Through his conversation with Rose, we get an admirably empathetic look at what goes on with him more broadly, and perhaps his relationship difficulties stem more deeply from a cause that truly is not his fault. Let's say that Perry grew up without a proper family unit, being the child of an affair between an alcoholic screenwriter named W.B. Mayhew and his secretary, Audrey Taylor. Well aware of their faults, Mayhew and Taylor knew that when she became pregnant, they would not be the proper caretakers of this child to be, so that when Perry was born, he was immediately left in the care of the foster system. His father, W.B., or Bill, already being in the throes of alcoholism, sadly had no hope of later becoming potentially the father figure who would have better served Perry. And his mother, Audrey, perhaps could have become a proper parental figure had she not mysteriously disappeared while he was still young. In any case, Perry was left on his own to figure out how to relate to others, particularly women to whom he takes an interest, and found a steady path for himself, teaching communications at NYU.
I recognize these names. But
Yeah,
I
same.
can't place it. It's driving me nuts.
I can't really place it either.
Well, I'll feed you a detail that would complete this. Let's say that the disappearance of his mother, Audrey, occurred after she had a tryst of her own with a budding screenwriter by the name of Barton Fink.
See,
Ah,
I
okay.
was gonna say
Yeah.
Barton Fink. It was.
Yeah.
Oh my god! I was literally gonna say it. Oh. I haven't seen that movie in a while, and
Yeah.
I'm like, it was. Oh, you said.
Yeah. But yes, John Mahoney.
I got to go with my gut, man. I was
Yeah.
really gonna say it.
I was
But-
focusing too much on
Yeah.
these other names that I was like, where have I heard these?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good one. That's
And,
good.
you know, the Coen brothers are great bestowers of names.
Yeah.
But yes, John Mahoney plays the screenwriter W.B. Mayhew in that
yeah,
movie.
he does. Oh,
Very
man.
memorable supporting role. A few years after Moonstruck, in fact. So I have to think that his casting in Moonstruck led to that casting in Barton Fink too.
Yeah.
Very nice.
All right. Well, it's my turn. Cosmo is clearly pretty comfortable hiding certain parts of his life, and I think this is because he has a lot of experience. And about 25 years ago, he was leading a double life, and every day he would take the train over the bridge into Lower Manhattan to his struggling flower shop. Desperate to bring more patrons to his shop, he agrees to display a strange plant in the window, which one of his employees picked up during a total eclipse of the sun at a flower shop in Chinatown. This plant begins to make all of his dreams come true, and the public begins to flock to the shop, becoming an overnight financial success. However, when certain people around the neighborhood begin to mysteriously disappear, including the abusive boyfriend of one of his employees, Cosmo begins to become suspicious. Especially since the mysterious plant is also growing quite rapidly in his window display. So he confronts his employee about the disappearances, and after threatening to turn him over to the police, finds himself in danger of being eaten by a giant carnivorous plant he is soon swallowed whole, but luckily is able to crawl his way back out of the mouth and make a run for his more comfortable life in Brooklyn Heights. And perhaps his time in this mysterious otherworldly plant also helped him not age much over the next 25 years.
Like there were some sort of restorative, regenerative properties
Yes, exactly.
inside.
Yeah, plant-based.
I knew you were going to do this one.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is great. Mr. Mushnick.
Yes.
Yes.
I love
Oh my
this
God,
movie.
that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, like if you look up Vincent Gardenia's credits, like that and Moonstruck are the first things that jump out.
It's easy, but I love this movie. It's on my Letterboxd top 4. I'm a big fan of it, so I had to do it.
Naturally.
It's the Mushnick. It's my turn. After having 2 kids with Ronnie, unfortunately, Ronnie dies.
Oh,
And-
again? Another husband that
Yep.
died?
Hopefully
Loretta
not
loses
hit by
another
a bus.
husband. She can't believe she lost another one. She bounces around from city to city, taking her girls, moving around. But every time a new relationship ends,
I'm sorry. You said girls, and I was like,
she leaves the city. Every time a new relationship ends, she leaves and she goes to another city. Eventually, she lands in Massachusetts and changes her name and starts all over. She even decides to become Jewish. She then starts dating a shop owner and thinks she may have found love again, but her daughters can be a handful. One of them is obsessed with Catholicism, which only reminds her of her past.
Yeah. Good
And
one.
after an almost tragic night where her youngest daughter, Kate, almost drowns, the 3 of them actually really come together. Oh yeah, and Bob Hoskins is in it.
I really like this movie. And one of the reasons I know about this movie is because I watched everything that Winona Ryder is in.
Of course.
This is Mermaids.
Mermaids, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah,
Excellent.
which is like a kind of a fun, sweet movie. And Cher's really good in it.
Mermaids.
I know, it's
so
good. Yeah. I feel like it's kind of a movie that is a little forgotten to time though.
Yeah.
Like I don't think it definitely doesn't have the cultural reputation that Moonstruck has.
So, Jamie,
Yeah.
it's up to you to cause the TikTok resurgence of this movie.
Yes. Yes.
Definitely.
I just love Bob Hoskins. So like
Yeah,
I
he's
went through a
very
whole
fun.
Bob Hoskins phase. It's very random.
Me, Winona Ryder, you,
yeah,
Bob Hoskins.
Hoskins.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, one movie that has him that I keep having recommended to me is, I think, hopefully I get the name right, The Long Good Friday,
Yes,
Yeah.
The Long Good Friday. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard the same thing.
which
I feel
is
like
a much grittier film from what I
yeah,
understand.
he's very different
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Mermaids than he is in the
Yes,
film.
very much.
From what
so,
I gather.
yes,
That's a good title for not to be confused, though. A lot of similar titles.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, right.
Definitely.
Yeah, but it's a part of what your scenario about the potential future of Loretta Castorini poses. I mean, I think that it is a very relevant question to consider when watching Moonstruck. Do you believe in life after love?
Yeah.
After love, after love. After
Yeah.
Yeah. Something about
Can feel
I can
something
feel
inside me say I really don't think it's strong
Michelle.
enough. There we go. Yeah.
Really don't
Well,
think
yeah,
it's
is that not what she's thinking about Johnny Camareri at the very beginning?
Oh my gosh. So what you're saying is that Believe is the long awaited song pairing with Moonstruck?
Yeah.
Could be. That's the
There you
unlikely
go.
shared universe, the audio version of that.
Song edition.
I don't know how unlikely it is. Who knows? Like, I mean, that could have inspired Cher. As much as I've always known about Cher, I really do not have a substantial knowledge of her music career.
Yeah.
I like her much better as an actress.
Interesting.
So a funny thing that happened around the time of this movie is she went on David Letterman with Sonny Bono. And
Yeah, I've watched this clip. I watched this after we watched John Waters' Hairspray.
yeah, and
Sonny Bono
there's
is in.
something like really magical about that moment. That moment, I think, is often referenced as being the pinnacle of what those late night TV shows could do when they're at their very best, which is it
Yeah.
caught these 2 famous celebrities in this very honest moment.
Yeah.
And you just felt a lot of transparency. A whole generation of people were able to kind of live out this kind of fantasy that like they were still together. And this song that they were known for, I Got You, Babe, was able to kind of live on as some sort of like reality, that there was some other dimension on David Letterman that was still able to happen. I think about that song and that moment every time I think of Cher. Although maybe I'll think of Moonstruck a little more.
Yeah, totally. I mean, Dougie went down kind of a Cher rabbit hole after we rewatched this week. I mean, I mentioned this at the end of last week's episode that this is a movie that Dougie has seen a lot because his grandmother really loves it.
Oh, that's
and
right. Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to talk to her, but I asked Dougie, like, why does your grandmother love this movie so much? And he said it's because she always really, gravitated towards this idea of this like big loving family. That's I think very attractive to a lot of people, particularly of that generation, that it's kind of aspirational to have this family that's so close knit. So that was just something that she was like really trying to manifest by just putting this on TV.
Oh,
all
that's
the time.
really kind of sweet.
Yeah.
You were telling us, Jamie, earlier that you watched this movie with your mom, is it?
I watch this movie with my mom every December.
There we go.
Yeah.
My gosh.
Every single December.
Yeah.
I love
And do you
that.
feel like you get new things out of it every time you see
Yes.
it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I do feel like it's that kind of movie.
Watchable.
It's so easy to rewatch this film. I almost would go so far as to say you could watch it and then immediately rewatch it.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Yeah,
I
with
think
its
you're there with it.
runtime, it's pretty easy.
Right?
Yeah.
That would put
Just
you right
watch
around
that 4 times on an 8-hour flight.
There we go. I love that though, that this is a movie that you watch every year.
Yeah.
I would be
'cause-
curious to put that out to listeners. If
Yeah.
there is a film that you just have to watch, there's a compulsion to come back to it every year. I feel like I don't know if I really have one that is that's specific. Do you guys have
I would
anything
say
like
that a lot of people's are probably holiday films.
Right.
Mhm.
I every year watch Miracle on 34th Street. It's like one of my favorite Christmas movies.
Mhm.
Big fan of
Which
that
one?
The original one.
Of course.
with
Good.
Natalie Wood?
Yeah, the Natalie Wood
Correct,
one.
yeah.
So that's one that I watch every year. Yeah, pretty much like clockwork. I like to watch it on Thanksgiving because it's really a Thanksgiving movie also because it starts on Thanksgiving.
There we go.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, for a lot of people, like that Thanksgiving yearly watch would be The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Because that was, historically
Interesting.
when it would be broadcast.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah. But then, like, for me, I mean, I think I've mentioned both of these on the mics before, but even though I haven't kept up with it year by year, I certainly have held that place in my life and will continue to for The Big Lebowski.
Mhm.
And more recently, since we've been doing this podcast, I mean, I did it 3 times last year, and I think I'm about to I think I'm due for this year's Dog Day Afternoon, of course.
I would be curious to know if any other one of our listeners does a yearly rewatch of Dog Day Afternoon. It's such a
I don't
specific.
know.
Definitely
Yeah.
write in if you do that, but please write in to tell us whatever movie you watch, every year.
Yeah, you can email us at sleeplesscinematicpod@gmail.com.
And
I
we'll
know
also put this out on social media. So respond there or DM us.
Or click the link in our episode description.
Yeah, that sounds great. Are there any last things that we want to say about Moonstruck? We've said a lot of things, but
It's such a good.
Ugh.
yeah, it's fun. It's really fun.
It's one of the best movies ever.
It's a great.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah, no,
I think
it's
too,
sweet.
it's like in the context of its time, I feel like it probably really stood out from the crowd of movies in the 1980s. But it's one of those things that I think must have been really singular when it came out, but influenced so much that came after it.
Definitely.
Yeah,
It's an evergreen movie. Like it's
Mhm.
not it doesn't feel too dated, even though you watch it and you're like, I know that this is not modern,
Mhm.
just from the cars and but it feels timeless.
Yeah, it's
mean-
it's about family and it's about complicated relationships and it's about love and everything that's in it applies in 2025 and everything in it will apply in 2075 and onwards and upwards.
Traditions and
Mm.
yeah, absolutely.
Brooklyn Heights still looks like that too. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, I feel similarly. I mean, I think this movie, like you said, I think just touches on so many universal themes. So I think this is a movie that is going to travel really well. And when I say that, I mean in your own life. I mean, one of the things I found so compelling about this movie is how many older actors and older characters are given like a very central place in the story.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
I don't know if it's just because I'm getting older, but I find myself more and more drawn to seeing depictions of older characters and the way that films can prioritize their stories and their arcs.
Even though you're actually like the age of Loretta, but you're like, I really identify with Rose.
I mean, kind of, yeah.
Grandpa really is.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I mean, I do got to walk my dog every night when I come home.
At least you don't have to walk 6 dogs.
That's a good point.
But it's also, I think, in a lot of movies, as like actors get older, they sometimes get kind of discarded by the studio systems. They don't get as many good roles as they once did. Some are luckier, but others are not, or there will be like one role that kind of rescues their career. So I think that when you do see parts like, back in when Moonstruck was made and still today, when you see parts that are written sincerely for older characters, it's a really special thing.
And they're not dismissed, and they're not made to look like old and foolish, really. They're like actual real people, because they would be actual real people, and they shouldn't be dismissed just because you're older.
Yeah, and Rita and Raymond still having passion. Like, I think that when you are talking about older people having sex, a lot of movies present it as like, ooh, yucky. Like, which is very, very silly, and is not a trap that this movie falls into at all. It's presented as romantic.
Yeah,
I hope I'm still having sex with my husband when I'm old.
That's exactly what I'm saying. I'm like, if we're lucky, we're all going to get to be that old, and I don't want anybody making fun of the fact that I still want to have sex then.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I want my spouse to look at me and go, you know what, you look like you're about 26 right now.
Like, Thank you.
I'm gonna
tell you,
right
that is
answer.
the scene of this movie. I literally like it kind of just ripped my chest open.
Yeah.
That absolutely got me. So yeah.
Moonstruck.
Loved it.
We've been struck by the moon.
You've been moonstruck.
Well, watch us just walk outside after this is done and there's a full moon.
We've got to look at the moon. For
Yeah,
sure.
well, you got to see if the moon.
I got to see
this weekend.
Yeah, what's the moon phase on Friday night?
Yeah. Jamie, thank you so much for being here. I know that you've talked about wanting to do this, but I feel like Moonstruck came up, I think, in a comparison to Home Alone. Mm-hmm. Your enthusiasm for it, we were like, okay, we're getting around.
I'm pretty sure I forced myself here, you guys.
I think that your enthusiasm helped motivate us to finally figure out a place for it.
Hooray.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, rarely ever has an episode been so confirmed before it happened.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like 7 months ago.
Like, when we finally landed on like confirmed Moonstruck, okay, so email Jamie. Like it's
Yay.
Yeah, 100%.
Thank you for having me so much.
Course.
This is
we love having
so
you.
much fun as always.
Oh man, the pleasure is all ours.
As we said, you're our most repeated guest.
Where can people find you?
On TikTok, on Instagram at jamie.holmes, JAMIE.HOMS.
Very nice. And I will confirm following you is a lot of fun.
Totally.
Really
Thanks,
cool.
guys.
There's always great stuff to learn. Please keep doing roasts. You have a real talent for it. It's so fun. So
What are we
the
doing
next film. Yeah. What are we going to do next? I'm excited because we're going to talk about 2 movies that I think on the surface.
People are going to be like, what?
Yeah.
But we can defend this.
I think so. I think we're going to be able to defend this one.
Welcome to my shoes.
Exactly.
We're going to have a good time with these, I think. We're going to continue our musicians turned actors theme here. We're going to talk about A League of Their Own, which is a film from 1992. It's directed by Penny Marshall. I love this movie.
I love this
Jamie,
movie.
you're clapping your hands.
movie too.
It's so good.
So excited.
Stop crying at baseball.
So excited to finally talk baseball on this podcast.
There we go.
Yeah, and the musician turned actor in that film is Madonna.
Yeah,
Yes.
who plays All the Way May. Great character in that film. And we're also going to talk about a more recent film, Don't Worry, Darling, which is directed by Olivia Wilde. And the musician turned actor in that film is Harry Styles, who plays Jack, who's Florence Pugh's husband in that film.
Julian and I have not seen Don't Worry, Darling, but you have.
I have, and in fact, I have been holding on to a Unlikely Shared Universe for over a
since
year.
Oppenheimer, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm
And this
excited.
is our second Olivia Wilde movie.
That's
Oh, yeah.
true. Of only 2 movies that she's directed. So I think we are Olivia Wilde completists here.
I thought we were going to be completionists for Todd Haynes first.
I know.
Yeah, he's got more movies, but also, I mean, if you count Olivia Wilde's acting career, we've got a long way
That's
to go.
true.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, that's what we're doing next.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, in addition to this podcast, you can follow us on TikTok and Instagram at Sleepless Cinematic Pod. You can contact us via email. We would love to hear from you. Please write to us at Sleepless Cinematic Pod and tell us what movie you watch annually. If you're on Letterboxd, you can follow me, Madeline, at patronessofcats. Jamie, you're on Letterboxd?
Yeah, Jamie.Holmes.
Excellent.
And you can follow me as well on Letterboxd at Julian_Barthold. If you're listening to us for the first time, thanks for finding us. If this is the second or third or fourth or fifth or 60th time you've listened to us, yes, we've hit that number. Thanks for sticking with us. We've really grown to love doing this, and it means the world to have our budding listenership grow with us.
Yes. And if you haven't already, we'd ask you, return listener, to please, pretty please, write a positive review and rate us on your podcast platform of choice. This is one of the best ways for new listeners to find us and help our podcast take its next steps. You can also keep it grassroots. You can tell a friend to tell another friend to tell their 5 cinephile friends about the Sleepless Cinematic Podcast and how much fun it is.
Or their whole Italian family.
Maybe that too. All of that helps.
Alla familia, saluta!
Salutamente.